Right.
What are you going to do about that?
Well, look, you know, one of the things that I've learned from my pal Joe Hallett is I know he just shakes his head every time I do a shout out. Just you know, and my staff as well, make sure you understand all the facts. So we've talked to my legal counsel's talked to the prosecutor. I think they've talked to the school district. We want to make sure that they do a thorough looking at the entire story before I jump. What I'm really, let me tell you, here, you might say, well, what were you thinking? Because, you know, some people would say, well, wait a minute, she didn't do all the things that were proper here. I said, well, wait a minute, if you got a mom and a starving kid and she steals a loaf of bread, do you put her, what is her punishment? It's like Socrates, right? So my inclination is, I mean, what are you kidding me? This woman's trying, from everything I've read, trying to improve herself, trying to help her children. Somebody said, is this a Rosa Parks moment? Is this about school vouchers and all that? Ultimately, we ought to discuss it, but it isn't about that. It's about a lady trying to, looks like, protect her children, improve herself, and an improper penalty. So what we can do is just, we're going to examine this, and we do have some alternatives, and we will keep you informed.
Can I follow up on that with another question here? The other side of that coin is that she was going to a very good public school district where the taxpayers were paying above and beyond the call of duty to make it an excellent school district, and she wasn't part of that tax-paying community putting it in there. So the people who live in that community are probably a little bit steamed that someone comes in and takes something they're not paying.
All right, let me just say, first of all, a couple things about this, and I want to make sure I have all the facts, but let's just divorce this from this lady. First of all, why don't you have open enrollment? We have it in many districts where you can move to where you're going to be more comfortable. Secondly, if you talk about civil rights issues, I'm a believer in school vouchers and I'm a believer in charter schools. And I just read yesterday that there aren't enough vouchers to go around to mothers and fathers standing in line to let their kids get a chance to go where they think their kids are going to learn. This is an outrage. Mayor Fenty down in D.C., part of the reason why he lost is he dare challenge a union that wouldn't help kids to get the vouchers they need with a reformer like Michelle Reed, who wakes up every day trying to improve kids' lives. This has been in my craw, folks, for 30 years. This is not something that happened last week. You know, you think about going to a concert and you got to stand in line to get the tickets, and you get to the front, they close the window and say, sorry, no tickets. You go home, you might be upset. Think if you're standing in line to get a voucher to get your kid in a situation where the kid's going to be safer or smarter or whatever, and the window closes and sorry, no more. What do you do when you go home? I mean, I don't know what you think. So I'm a very big believer in public education, in our traditional school, but I'm also a believer in empowering people to be able to, it's their children, to put their children where they think they're going to get a better education, have a better future, and be safer. So I'm going to expand vouchers in this state. We need to have charter schools. That's not an attack on your traditional public school. But you know, the fact of the matter is that competition improves everything. And I believe in it. And what we have here is all these wires crossed, and what about this, and what about that? You know what I suspect, and I don't know this. I suspect that this woman felt that her children would be safer if they didn't have to get home in the middle of the day. But again, let me do my checking. But make no mistake about it, I think vouchers and charters lead to more opportunities. Okay.